Hello set. So I just thought I'd give this a go at explaining sort of face to face as it were, rather than trying to write it all down. So you asked me a question here about what does this mean, why test, what's the dollar sign, and so on. So I've just copied and pasted that comment into R here so we can do, I can try and explain it. So when I run the first line here, I'm just creating a vector called lactate with those numbers in. And then if I run a t-test on that, the output goes here. And so a t-test has the arguments that you give it, what's inside the brackets, but it also has values which come out of it. So all of these values that are in here are accessible by referring to their name. And you can see what those are by, if we look up t.test in the manual. So the first part is the list of arguments. So you've given it some of these things, you've sold it mu, for example. And then value, all of these things you can access by going the name of the object you've assigned, dollar something. So although we don't need a file here called test, what I should have done is save this. If I wanted to access that variable, save this, assign this to a variable. So if we assign the result of t.test to something called test, so now I've got an object called test, and it has all these values in it, which you access by writing dollar. So if I go, oops, you see here confint, it's returning these values here. So if I go test dollar confint, it outputs those. I could also do test, oops, dollar. So if it did statistic, it's going to give me the t value. If I do what else will it let me have? So parameter, that's going to be your mu. There's the p value in there. Estimate is the actual mean. So it's a way of accessing all the little elements of the output separately. So when we do confint, it's returning these. When we do estimate, it returns the mean. When you do t, you get the t value. When you do p value, you get the p value, and so on. Okay, so the only thing that's missing there is assigning the result of t-test to something. So you either need to assign t-test to a variable, or you can do you can run the test again with a dollar afterwards. So either that, let's put it down here actually. I could just do this. You see, on the output down here. So you either have to assign it to a variable, or you have to run the whole test with a dollar after it to get that individual output. But then you'll only get the confint output by default. If you just run that without any dollars, you'll get all the output. So that gives you all the output. Dollar something will give you just part of the output. Okay, hope that makes sense. Okay, so when you say, what's the dollar sign here? A dollar sign is just the way to access a value that belongs to an object. So it says, look for this value in that object. It's also a way to get columns of data from a data frame. So in answer to your second question, is this p? Yes, it is. So this function pt is a bit like pnorm, but it works on the t distribution rather than the normal distribution. So it's returning the probability of getting a value of t with n minus 1 degrees of freedom when the lower tail is false, so it's only giving the upper tail. So this is giving the area in the two ends of the tails by multiplying it by 2 here. So yes, that is a probability. Okay, bye. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. I can give it another go.